All right, so as promised, today we got Joel Valenzuela. He's the host of the Dash Digital Cash Network. I was forgetting but he's
Yeah.
involved in Dash, so that's what I meant, and
Yeah,
that's
of
what I
course.
wanted to. That's the main idea of this video. Really, for me to catch up, I haven't been able to keep track of a lot of Dash development, and I had like three specific topics I wanted to ask him.
hmm
So, welcome on the show, Joel. Sylvain here. Welcome to my channel. This channel covers crypto, Bitcoin, and also how to make money online. I recently worked on a free report that you can have access to for free today. This report is about three critical mistakes that you must avoid with your journey online, when you start your online business. So you can have access for free on that report. Just look at the address on the screen, and also that address is going to be in the description. If not, reach out to me and I'll be happy to provide you with a free copy of this document. Again, explore the channel, and thanks again for watching. Bye-bye. Doing good. Yeah, so as just in the pre-show, I was talking to you about Dash Direct. So that's one of the main topic that I've seen that came through recently, and I was kind of curious about that. I'm in Canada, and maybe some
hmm
people watching are in Europe and whatnot. So what is it, and where is it available at this point?
Yeah, so Dash Direct is a new app that was recently released, like last few weeks, that basically lets you spend crypto in your daily life, Dash specifically. So right now, it's available in the US only, but from what I hear, that they're working on Canada next and then Europe. And so basically, how this thing works is, um, what you do is you go to a business, say like let's just say Chipotle. That's a good one to use as an example. You can go in there, make your order. Let's say it's 12.98 or whatever is the order number. You open up the Dash Direct app, select Chipotle, enter 12.98, and hit buy. Then it'll open up your Dash wallet in the app. You pay, and then it'll give you a barcode that then they can scan, and you can just pay for it like that. So basically, the user experience ends up being really smooth to where you can now shop at, let's say, I think it's at 155,000 plus locations around the US, and you can just pay for stuff with Dash, and it's pretty seamless in user experience to where you can actually do that at a point of sale environment. It's so the thing that's really the thing that's the defining factor of it is just how easy it makes it, because there have been little workarounds here or there for a long time, but I believe the vast majority of payments that people make are still in the point of sale environment. They're still in person. And when you're doing that, it's just a giant pain in the butt if it takes a long time for you to finish that kind of payment process. And that's always been one of those problems facing cryptocurrency type solutions is, well, how do I get to pay for it? How does it actually work in person? And am I going to hold up the whole line? Are people going to hate me for trying to use this stuff? And thanks to this, now it's like super easy. And a couple other things about it is, first off, it has a relative. So the one thing that's really good about it is it has a relatively significant discount, which I hear is going to be going up over time. So it depends on which service. There are some, for example, if you go to Home Depot, I don't believe that there's any discount. But then there's others like, I believe American Eagle might be like 8% or something, and Chipotle is like 1.5% or whatever. But basically, you get to save a significant amount on purchases. And the thing that is also a little bit of a game changer is a geolocation slash merchant map feature. So basically, what you could do is you walk in, go downtown, wherever you are, you say, where can I spend my dash? And you open it and it says like zero point 0.3 miles from you, there's a few places. There's a map function. And then you can hit a directions button. It'll open up in Waze or Google Maps or something and let you get right there. And there have historically been, all kinds of different merchants that have taken cryptocurrency around the world. But the problem is it hasn't been universal, and there just hasn't been a good way of knowing where you can actually spend it. It's like if there's word of mouth, oh yeah, I know that place downtown, they take it. Okay, sure. But for the most part, you go to a new city, where can I spend it? No one has answers for you. But thankfully with this thing, you actually have answers. So basically it ticks off those last few boxes that are keeping people from spending cryptocurrency in their day-to-day life. It's you can find where to spend it. You can actually spend it at real merchants and enough of them that it's worthwhile, and you get a pretty significant discount on it. And so you basically have like everything to do. And the interesting thing about it is the company that makes this app, CrayPay, has a fiat version that there's their main product they've had for a few years, which basically does the same thing except with credit cards. And the discounts are lower because they don't save as much on fees because they have to eat credit card fees. So people are already using this with just a very small amount of discount. And now imagine not only can you use cryptocurrency to do the same thing, but you get a significantly better discount. And it's not custodial. Like you don't have to go, you can hold on to your own funds until you buy the actual thing. And you don't have to go through any KYC. You don't have to give your ID or anything like that to spend it. So it's pretty much just, I think, what we've been really waiting for to actually try to spend cryptocurrency more than just me, like other people too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great explanation on that. And it seems like just when I visited the website, 150,000, I was like, wow, that's a lot of places.
Mhm.
So do you have like any numbers on like usage so far? Like, how's that performing? Systems working well? Like, how's that progressing at this point?
Yeah, so it's if you go, I mean, a great resource, of course, is always Twitter. If you look up Dash Direct or the hashtag Dash Direct on Twitter, you'll see what people are doing. There's a few people that have been documenting their purchases. Oh, I bought something here. I bought something there. There's a couple of usage videos. I'm going to make some pretty soon. Naomi Brockwell made a video pretty recently that was showing me running around town spending cryptocurrency, and then Dash Direct is in there as well. You can kind of see the workflow in that video as well. So if you think about actual like transaction numbers, I'm pretty sure they're proprietary right now. They might start to publish things and say, "Hey, guess what? We just reached our 1,000th purchase of this," or "Hey, we have so many downloads of the app. This is great," or whatever it is. But I just know anecdotally, I mean, Twitter is a great place to go from, right,
Yeah.
to see the public things. But just from what people have been telling me, um, historically, when there's been a shiny new thing, right, that you've gotten people to use, you've gotten people like, let's just say Dash community members. They're like, oh, let me try this out. And then they try it out and then they like it or they don't. They try it out like maybe once or twice and then they kind of lose the habit of doing that. But I keep on hearing reports of people repeating purchases, doing it over and over again. And it's just like the same person. It seems like it's finally hit that point where it's easy enough to use that you're going to actually use it again. It's not just, oh, I'll use it once or twice and then I just get busy with my regular life.
Yeah, that's true, and then so true with shiny object, and we've
Hmm.
seen it with the different number of cryptos there's
Hmm.
out there, and obviously being more junior than you are,
Hmm.
I've been exploring around that sort of thing. It's always like, oh, let's look at this one, let's look at that one, and then it's kind of I'm at this point now. I'm kind of coming back to like the basics. You know what I mean? Like after exploring for so long, you just
Yeah, of
come back
course.
and you're like, well, which one works, right? So you're looking at Dash, well, it's doing well for the merchant aspect, right? So you
Hmm.
just kind of come back to it. You don't need like fancy stuff, like does it work? Yes, and it's Dash seems to be like one of them, obviously, right? And obviously people have different opinions out there,
Hmm.
but I really think like this one works well, and I think that's kind of showing that as well with this application. And hopefully that's going to gain some momentum, right? So we always see the DeFi, CeFi, whatever, but like that'd be great to see like a good crypto like Dash performing well in that aspect of merchant, getting people together, getting people to use it, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that's probably something you share as well, right?
of course. And that's the thing about there's always been a disconnect with cryptocurrency because it's so new, because between the tech layer and then the end user level. And it just, a lot of people have said for the longest time, no, cryptocurrency is a solution in search of a problem. Like, why do we need this stuff? And eventually people settled on like the number go up kind of use case for the most part, where I buy this stuff, it goes up in value. That's how it's useful to me. And then DeFi is kind of the same sort of a thing where people they buy it and then they put it somewhere and the number goes up even faster. It's like a
Yeah.
very basic thing, but it is useful, but it's kind of very basic. the basic send and receive transaction kind of use case of I'm going to use this for payments is very valuable, but it's struggled on the end user case, the end user experience level, where you could do it, but it's kind of like saying, I'm going to buy my dinner with gold. I'm going to take like a lump of gold and like shave off a little bit here and be like, here we go. No one's going to do that. It just hasn't clicked for whatever reason. And one of those that got solved. So I recently interviewed the CEO of CreatePay, the company that made the Dash Direct app. And one thing that what he noticed is he was always interested in cryptocurrency, kind of paid attention to it, but never really got involved. And he noticed Dash in late 2017, but he'd never really, it didn't sell him because all transactions were still kind of, they worked in the old sort of a way. It wasn't until he saw that every single transaction became by default instant in the following years, that now he's like, oh, this is something I can work with, because now he can afford to not have, first off, he couldn't have created this solution if it was custodial. He just didn't want to take all that counterparty risk and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be able to trust just a transaction that wasn't instantly settled. And so it would not work for that when seconds matter kind of point of sale experience, or for his risk tolerance level. And it just wasn't until that last bit. I mean, Dash has been around since 2014, but so basically it's like 4 to 5 years in is when he finally was like, oh, okay, I'm interested. And so we're going to see this with a lot of other cryptocurrencies, I think, as well, when we're going to see use cases start to take off when that last bit is kind of solved. And so, like, an example of that also from the payment space, there's this other app called Flexa, which is similar to Dash Direct, I guess, in that it has like it's like a merchant network that people can then it's kind of like an intermediary kind of thing people can also use to pay in the point of sale kind of thing. The difference is, first off, it's a multi-coin experience, and second, it's a custodial and a KYC experience, because you deposit your money in there, and then when you go to the actual merchant and you say, I want to pay with Flexa, then you hit buy, and then it takes it out of the balance that's already with them. So there's that custodial risk. It's kind of like using a payment app, like an Apple Pay, where you already link your bank account, you already have your ID and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then it's kind of works like that. And that's like, it solves a problem in that they didn't have to convince individual merchants, let's integrate this, let's deal with all these cryptocurrencies. They still use some kind of a back-end solution, but it's still, I don't know if we're going to see a lot of people using it yet, just because it doesn't have that like custodial, that non-custodial element to it, and non-KYC, and I don't think there's any discounts involved. So we're just at that point of trying to solve the last few problems to make this actually viable.
Okay, great points that you're bringing there, which brings me to my second point, which is kind of that same sort of idea we're talking about at this point. Is and I'm not going to mention who said that or whatever, but some people seems to suggest that the merchant-oriented crypto coins, like Dash, BCH, maybe there are others out there that we can name or whatever, but
Litecoin, Nano,
exactly,
and then even things like Monero or Zcash that are more privacy oriented, but still like privacy oriented for payments.
Exactly. You bring good ones there, and then they're saying that that's kind of the failure, that branding of being like merchant oriented, and seems to say that they should kind of rebrand or rethink the idea, because it's obviously a failure. So how do you what's your opinion on this kind of statement?
Yeah, so I think that just about every solution out there on its own is a failure without end user apps that really work. It's so, for example, who cares about smart contracts? No one cared about smart contracts. And then people were like, okay, well, I got these like crypto kitties. I like those. And then there's some money in that. I mean, it was kind of fleeting, but it wasn't, as far as like the smart contract space, it didn't really hit it out of the park until DeFi came around, where people started to trade on these decentralized exchanges, be able to do staking and rewards and things like that. It was very recent that use case kind of went through. And same thing as like the store of value thesis kind of thing. I mean, in the very early days of Bitcoin, it was worth nothing. And then it went way up in value and then it crashed and all this other stuff. And so people were like, you know what? Why would I buy this stuff? It's highly volatile. Why don't I just do something more stable? But then over time, you see the number keeps going up, and there's better solutions for like institutions, like custodial solutions, like funds and things like that. And it's easier to invest in that way, and then it goes up more long term, and then the use case kind of matures. And the payments use case is exactly one of those things where it had a lot of maturing to do. And there's a lot of people. Like I've been using cryptocurrency for, I think the first time I ever bought something was in 2013 with Bitcoin. And so
Oh
I've
yeah.
been doing this the whole time, and not exclusively until the last 5-6 years, but like I've been doing this for 8+ years, right? And it's I kind of did not realize that there were so many barriers to this being widespread until I started trying to step into other people's worlds. It's so, for example, I've gotten plenty of businesses to take cryptocurrency in the past. And it seems like, first off, what we don't realize is no one takes fiat. No business just takes fiat.
Yeah.
Like they don't just say, oh, sure, I'll take it. Like, can you imagine trying to pitch someone on cash who didn't have cash?
Mhm.
You're like, all right, well, who's going to pay me in this? And then they have to install a lockbox drawer because otherwise they're just going to have a bunch of paper bills with like a rubber
Yeah.
band around them that someone can steal. It's just awful. The infrastructure set up for that. And credit cards are the same way. And I've noticed with new payment technologies coming along, like, for example, um, I don't know what Canada's like, but I'm guessing it's more advanced than the US. The US is like almost developing country level of payment systems development because most people still swipe their card. They still, or
Yeah.
half people still do the swipe. Some people do the chip where you put it in and leave it. And then the tap and pay type thing is like almost no one does that.
Yeah,
That's kind of,
the swipe
yeah.
and signature, it's almost gone in here.
Yeah.
It's like the last resort because your chip doesn't work and they'll just kind of do it that way. But otherwise,
Yeah.
it's not like, yeah.
Yeah, and then the coffee shop right around the corner from me has a little terminal for like the put it in, like the chip reader, but there's a piece of tape over it says please swipe because I don't know what it doesn't work. It's just like that's how old it is. But like
Uh,
those new technologies, even
yeah.
with cards, are just take a while to do. So what I didn't realize is, so you could, first off, just to get a business owner to want to take it, you got to have a way to, first off, there has to be a fancy app that like lets them
Hmm.
actually process the thing. And so AnyPay is probably my favorite of these. I don't know if you ever
Okay.
used AnyPay, but it's a very streamlined way of using it. However, AnyPay does not have fiat conversion, and if you want to do fiat conversion, because a lot of businesses want that, you have
Yeah.
to add another solution backended, and that's kind of difficult. And also, AnyPay is a separate app. So, for example, what I see a lot of people doing around town who use it, uh, they exit out of the app, their main merchant app, then they open up AnyPay, process the payment there, then go back into their other one, and then record as a cash transaction. And so it's and
Yeah.
it's making it work, but it's still, the systems aren't built up for that.
Okay.
And the number one thing though, because there have been thousands and thousands of merchants around the world who have been convinced to take cryptocurrency payments of all kinds. But, the one big problem is not enough customers wanting to pay with it. I mean,
Yeah.
around here, the reason why the cryptocurrency businesses around where I live in New Hampshire have sustained is because a lot of people moved here. I think 5,000 or more moved to New Hampshire for the Free State Project. They're hardcore libertarians.
Okay.
They love cryptocurrency and
Yeah.
they do want to spend it and they don't want to use fiat currency. And
Okay.
so you have a built-in base of people who will go out of their way to spend it and create those habits, those consumer habits. Everywhere
Yes.
else in the world, you just don't have that yet. There's a lot of people who have cryptocurrency, but it's too complicated for them to learn to get the wallet and how to use it. And then there's not enough spot. It's like the whole chicken
Yeah.
and the egg problem. So
Yeah.
what
Just
we did,
buy it and huddle it. Yeah.
yeah, we saw in 2017 and 18 a lot of people. I mean, I assume this is the same in across communities, but specifically in the Dash community, I saw a lot of people onboarding hundreds, if not thousands, of merchants. A lot of them in Venezuela,
Wow.
and enough evidence of this actually happening to where you have like videos of people doing it in each one. But then there's always an issue. Like, for example, oh, it's on the owner's phone. The owner isn't here today, so we don't have a smartphone because we have an old point of sale system. You have to wait for the owner to come back, or they lose the
Yeah.
phone or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Or, but the biggest thing is, how do Venezuelans, first off, how many have a smartphone? How many are technically savvy enough to do something like that? And how many can really buy Dash easily and then know where to go to spend it?
Mm-hmm.
And it just, and the thing is, if you like our Visa or something, you can keep track of where all your merchants are. But if you use a decentralized network, how do you know everyone who's using your thing unless it
Yeah.
has no privacy at all? So there's a few big barriers that have existed, and I think that having something like Dash Direct, for example, where
Mm-hmm.
people know reliably where they can spend it and they have an incentive to do that, as in a good discount, and it's easy. I think that that'll be enough of an incentive to get people to start building habits of spending this stuff, and then other businesses can start doing it, and then they actually won't be wasted like they were in the past.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's great points that you were bringing there as well with adoption, and obviously it's going to take a bit of time, and sort of to help out in that sense as well. I just saw just before this video, saw one of your post on Facebook and even Twitter, and you were
Mhm.
talking about an initiative, and it's kind of on Trello and so on. So I didn't have much time to look at it, so I'll let you kind of explain that. It seems like a pretty good way to promote Dash, involve people in it. So I'll let you
Yeah.
can explain that.
Well, let me hit it a little bit more conceptually first. So back in the day, you have centralized corporations, and then I believe starting with Dash, although I have to double check the exact timelines for a few different projects, but Dash was at least one of the first ones to create a decentralized autonomous organization where anyone can, basically no one runs the whole thing. Anyone can decide to participate and get funded and stuff like that. But now we're going to the more granular level where, okay, let's just say I start an initiative. I want to go help do stuff for Dash or whatever. Give me money. And then the network votes and they give me money, and there you go. And then I just run like an old school centralized company and report to the decentralized network still, but it's
Okay.
still, I'm running it in the old school way. Well, and I'm pretty sure there have been quite a few different projects are trying to approximate something like this. But Andy Freer, who was the chief architect of Dash, he was kind of the right hand man of the founder for a while, and kind of architected a lot of the way Dash ended up being. He left the Dash Core development group a couple of years ago to pursue other initiatives, and one of these was he created this thing called the Dash Incubator, which is basically a model for uh, creating work and funding work in a radically transparent way that also makes sure everyone gets paid for everything they do. So instead of the old school thing where you have a salary or something like that, here, first off, anyone can propose an idea where, let's just say,
Okay.
I have an idea. I'm going to promote Dash by running a Twitter account, and I can propose that idea.
Okay.
And as long as
Yeah.
whoever's running this project, there's a few administrators who were kind of appointed, but it's all extremely public. Like, anyone can watch this entire process. They say, I like your idea. Here you go. And by the way, you get paid for coming up with that idea. So you get paid for.
To have excellent digital marketing, all you need is a great sales funnel builder. But you see, I'm talking about a real sales funnel builder. A sales funnel builder, which of course can integrate with page builders, email marketing, CRM, checkouts, members area, e-learning, webinars, and so on. I'm talking about a single powerful and modern tool capable of allowing you to kick ass in digital marketing.
Coming up with the idea, and then someone else says, you know what, I really like this idea. I want to write specifications for how this should be done. So someone writes a little thing like,
Okay.
we should do this many tweets a day, do this or that. That person who writes a specification document can get paid, get approved to be paid. And
Oh, yeah.
then whoever starts actually performing the tasks then gets paid. And it's all extremely public. Like, literally you can see every single decision. So there's
Nice.
no room for corruption, no room for basically people not doing their work. It's all transparent.
Yeah.
And then there's no room for someone doing a lot of work and not getting paid for it, or on the other side, someone who's just sort of riding it out on other people's work and just not getting money. Because even like administrators who look over the work, they get like, let's just say 10% of the money that gets paid to them by approving it, then they get it. And if they approve something that's terrible, then you know exactly who approved it.
Yeah.
You know exactly everything. It's just a radically transparent system.
So as opposed to being like, would it be like a lump sum kind of thing, or would it be more like a pay as you go? So let's say you run that Twitter account, but Buddy gets like an amount, and then oh, I got my money now, so I won't post anything, you know, ha ha ha, right? So so if you but would it be like, okay, so many tweets a day, then you'll get that much? Is that kind of the idea, or would it be like a project funding kind of thing?
I mean, that depends on the specifications of the thing, but probably the specifications would say, oh, you get paid if you claim the task to like run it for a week. And so you just say, I tweeted for a week, give me this much money. And then the administrator looks it over and says, how did this work out? Okay. So to clarify, the incubator was created by Andy Freer for development. And so there's the Dash incubator is a development thing that's been going on for a year or so that basically has been building all kinds of decentralized applications on the Dash network. And so that's been going on for a while. And eventually Andy and some other people encouraged me to start my own fork of the incubator, but not for development, but for marketing and promotion. And so that recently just got approved. And so, now we're going to start cranking out some interesting things. Like, for example, you mentioned about like Dash Direct. One of the things is we're going to be, or at least, I mean, it's in the process of being approved, right? It's a decentralized system that everyone can see how the process works. But basically, we're trying to make it so that people make videos of using this stuff. And they make videos with certain criteria, get paid a little bit to do it. I think we're going to target every single US state. So we want a video from everyone in every state using it to see like, oh, look, we're using it here and there, and just have tons of information. And so then rather than just pay a marketing firm and then like, you know, recruit some people and all this stuff, or just have a completely volunteer effort, you just say, we need this stuff, go out there and do it. And everyone who does it, you know, gets paid for part of it. So
that's nice.
Just like one of those kinds of things.
That's great. I kind of like it. That's a great idea. And then eventually, you know, for me in Canada, maybe that's going to come, obviously. And by then it'll probably be a bit more tested and everything, right? Too. So that's,
of course,
that should be even better for us. So that's great. That's a great point about, and then, so let's say people being curious about this. So they're probably saying, okay, where do I go? What should I look at? Like, should I get in touch with Joel? Like what's the kind of to get involved in that maybe? Or
so reach out to me. I'm at the Desert Links on Twitter and other places. And obviously, if you see the post I shared, there's a Trello board where you can just look at it. And Trello is a great, you know, task management thing. In the near future, there will hopefully be an actual app for making this out. So there will have to be there like an incubator app or something that then you can just kind of use that. But in the meantime, it's like it's a hodgepodge of Trello boards and Google Docs and other things to keep it all together. But basically, and then the thing linked is just like the sign up kind of a method. And it's
so you can sign up to be part of that Trello, right? The public board.
Yes. And sense. So, but even if you don't sign up, anyone can look at what's going on. Anyone can just see, you know, oh, what are they working on now? Oh, who's working on this? And oh, this guy's doing a lot of work there. Oh, that guy doesn't do any work. You know, oh, this is what they're paying for. Let me see what they're paying for. And I open it up, and like, you know, of course, this gives a lot of opportunity for other projects to copy and stuff like that. But the thing about radical transparency is it's worth it pursuing for its own ends. I think that we have a world where there's a lot that goes under the hood. A lot of things are hidden. A lot is done by, you know, deception, and a lot of inefficiencies happen because, you know, a lot of bad things in general happen because there isn't, you know, transparency and freedom in the whole thing. And so what I hope is a lot of people copy this model, because can you imagine if everyone's had a complaint at work? Oh, this guy's lazy, he doesn't do his job. Oh, this person said they did that, but I'm actually the one that did it. And there's just so many things like that. Or like, oh, my boss he's an idiot, he won't let me do this new idea I think is really cool. And like just all that stuff. Imagine just getting rid of all that. Of course, we're being utopian at this point, right? It's a little, it's not necessarily a complete solution, but just imagine if you got to see exactly the work everyone did and the decisions everyone made, and it just kind of worked in that kind of a radically transparent fashion, kind of like cryptocurrency, is a radically transparent financial system that's supposed to make the old system, the banking with all the laundering that goes on and all the lost money and inflation and all that kind of nasty stuff with the financial system. What if we could apply cryptocurrency solution like that to just the way we do almost anything?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that's really good stuff. You got me on this show there. So you brought like good points about Dash Direct, the merchant aspect, and also about that incubator. So again, thanks for coming on the show, Joel. So I appreciate that. I'm sure I'll probably have way more questions for another episode. I'm sure hopefully you'll be happy to come again, and I'll be glad to have you. And maybe we can track those developments and then see where it's at in a couple months, and maybe we can get you back on as well. So yeah, so thanks for coming on the show, Joel.
Yeah, thanks. Anytime.
Bye.